challenges are meant to make us stronger, and eventually we are here.
So does that imply that we are living in a system that even if you have the requirement, because you can have a requirement to go to university, that's one obstacle you have to strip off. It's just like more of a marathon from one level to another. You have a requirement to the university, that's one of the steps you have overcome. The next step is if you are not rich enough, you know no one rich enough, your family is not rich enough, this is not your place. Does that imply?
Well, I think people need to understand one thing. The policymakers need to understand that university education is not a privilege. It's a fundamental human right. My journey through the University of the Gambia is one of the reasons that actually inspired me to step up, to actually participate fully in the decision-making process of this country. I'm not alone in this plight. I saw a lot of young people that are still unable to complete their university because of finance. And yes, the government is trying, but it's not enough. It's not good enough for us. There is a lot that can be done to make sure university education, if it is not free, but let there be mechanisms in place that will support the less fortunate to be able to gain university education. I know during the conversation you asked me what inspired me to join politics, but it is one of the reasons that actually inspired me to make sure that I am part of those making the decisions, because I felt what so many people are feeling today. I'm a living witness to some of these problems that are affecting students going to university. And if you have to conduct a survey today, you'll be amazed as to how many respondents you will have. Because when I was going through this, I wasn't alone. So yes, I think policymakers this should be a learning point for them to understand how best we're able to serve. You cannot be in a position of power just for the sake of being in power. You have to be there to serve the needs of the masses, especially the very people that you represent. So yes, there is a lot. That is a lot.
So in short, we will say, because the system is such a way that if I am not with the finance, regardless of whether I have requirements, I won't do my course. I won't get my degrees. I won't get my masters. I will not be educated. Making a junior or senior or the lower level free. And then the most important, as far as national development is concerned, as far as getting the strategies and all the knowledge needed for one institution is concerned, is concentrated at the university, okay, or the tertiary institution. So to put finance as the constraint, knowing how poor people are, you can say the poverty, how many people can afford 40,000, 35,000 per semester or per year or per annum at the university? Very few. I'll quote one of the person I've interviewed, that is Dennis Jiba. I don't know whether you must know him. He said it's much better for the government or policymakers to make the lower basic and the senior school or junior school, tuition for people to pay tuition fee than to make it at the university. He's suggesting that at the university, our tertiary education should be free. And the lower basics or the secondary or the primary should be chargeable because many can pay that. So what is your...
Well, it's a very controversial topic. You have to look at it from different perspectives.
Okay.
The government also needs the money to be able to finance those teachers, to be able to get the material, to be able to to get the classroom. So we've got to be able to be fair with the policymakers. I don't think it should be absolutely free, but if we can afford it, yes. Where I'm driving at is it should be affordable. Affordability now depends on how you define it.
Okay.
Now, so let's look at the reality of it.
Now let's look at your definition.
Okay, now let's put it this way. The government is supposed to provide the mechanism. They're supposed to provide the instrument, that is the teachers. They're supposed to make sure those teachers are well paid to be able to take care of the education of those students. That is one. Secondly, us as people that are putting these people in power, we need to make sure we put in the right people. That is where ours come to play. If you don't put in the right people, they might not be able to deliver like we wanted them to deliver. So in the end, we might think, okay, education should be free. But sometimes what you think from the outside and what is in the inside is quite different. And we have to understand our system is broken to an extent that every sitting government or every government that comes to power must fix the system first before we're able to deliver as expected. That is where the focus should be. In fact, that is one of the reasons why I'm inspired to sit here with you today. Now, if you ask me as the spokesperson of the NUP, I will tell you that what our party wants to do when it comes to education is one. We need to work with the mindset of the people. People need to understand what nationalism means. People need to understand what patriotism means. Starting from early childhood education, growing up. Our civic education should be such that everyone should understand their rights. They should understand their responsibilities as a citizen. If you're able to build the minds of people to understand that being an African is not a crime, in fact, it's a blessing in disguise. For them to understand they have to take responsibility of their country. Then and only they will be able to elect leaders that will be responsive enough to our needs. Secondly, our education is designed in such a way that we can only serve in the administrative setup of the white man. Now, you look at the realities of Africa. Growing up, every day, what are they teaching us in school? We need to look at the courses that we are teaching. We need to look at our curriculum. How do we make sure we detect at the earliest stage, what this child could become? Like, I remember when I was at MDI, I once asked, if I ask a lot of lecturers about this question, how do I know my career as a person? I asked over 3 lecturers, nobody could give me a definitive answer. But we need to understand at a very early age, what could be the potential career of this individual? And then we guide them through that path. Sometimes they will talk about preference. Well, growing up, I wanted to be a soldier. Growing up, I wanted to be a surgical doctor. But here I am today, I'm a politician. I only realized that I'm a social scientist when I went to the University of the Gambia. After my certificate and diploma at MDI. So these are these are such that we should be able to have those mechanisms in place to be able to, map out a plan for those people with special needs. There are students or there are people that will grow with a certain talent. If you do not, kind of like detect it earlier, it might be detrimental to our existence. But if you're able to detect it earlier, we can coach them through. You look at China and other advanced countries. This is what they do. You see children in school, they are kind of like engaged in electrical engineering, doing a lot of stuff that can be very much supportive to our national development. That is part of something that we need to do. And again, I would like to congratulate the government for taking a step in this TVET. It's also a very, very important mechanism that should start at the earliest stage, not just at the tertiary level. So for me, education should be affordable, not just free. If we can make it free, it will be better. But it should be affordable to everyone. Now, let's say, for example,
we'll go there. Let's say it should be affordable because according to what you have just discussed, it should be affordable and also should be relevant to the needs of this country.
Absolutely.
Because even if it is affordable and it's not relevant, then at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely.
Go ahead with the example.
Yeah. Let's say, for example, I get admission at the University of the Gambia. I do not have the money to fund my school. Now, the government can say, okay, let's prepare a bond that the student can sign with the government. I understand the Chinese embassy used to do that. I don't know whether it's still in existence. That you have to serve your country for a particular number of years. This is the loan that we are giving you as a student. Automatically, you are guaranteed employment after school. Because if you don't give me a job, how do you expect me to, or if I don't have a job, how do you expect me to repay my loan? Now, you said give me a loan of $144,000 to pay for my entire university journey. After my education, the government should be able to provide a mechanism for me, not me as an individual, but students within that cycle, to be able to repay that loan. And that loan will be revolving, supporting a lot of students. This is one mechanism the government can do. Affordability also trickles down to what we can pay. Because $144,000 is a lot of money. How many civil servants are earning that annually within 4 years in this country? Looking at the responsibility, they have the dependency ratio and everything. So policymakers need to factor everything to make sure that they give us that affordability based on the realities of our country.
Okay. Instead of being free, you're standing on, it might not necessarily be free, but let it be affordable.
Yes.
Let's say at least an average Gambian can pay this.
Exactly.
But 35,000, the average Gambian
For
can.
me, it's expensive. It's very, very expensive.
All right. Now, apart from the finance, if you were to decode your problem, apart from those finance, within the educational settings, your experience, I mean, what would that be?
Well, there are issues that we don't talk in public. I have personal issues too. But what actually I may want to discuss here is the need for one to have that stable mind. When I say stable mind, I mean a focused mind, that is able to kind of like focus on something. Now, let me give you an example. I was going to school, I had to go to work to struggle to be able to pay my school.
Yeah.
It's born out of necessity that I have to. There are semesters that I'll have to, defer based on that reality. In the private sector, the labor laws of this country are not supported. There are private sectors that are really, really respecting and honoring the labor laws. But there are private sectors that do not even care. I had a friend who traveled to this country, Bangladesh, on a government scholarship. They were supposed to be paid stipend. Their tuitions were supposed to be paid. Eventually, the government stopped doing that. Now, when you talk about the government, it's an institution, but people that are serving in that institution refuse to do that. Now, these guys wrote different articles. In fact, they wrote different letters to the ministry, to the office of the ombudsman to intervene, but to no avail. In the end, he said he had this conversation with someone who told him, boy, if I want the handy, nobody is going to be responsible because it's always a chain. The cabal within the government system is not an individual. It's a group of people that are controlling the narrative. We will get there. That is the chain we need to break. That is the very system that we are fighting against. So yes, these are some of the challenges that people are facing in the university or in our education system. To kind of like have the opportunity to be able to do what you want to do without having some restraint. I don't know whether you get where I'm driving at. I don't want to decode the entire message, but I just want you to understand people need to have a steady mind to be able to focus on your education.
Yeah. When you are for education, it should be 100% education.
Absolutely.
But if you want to combine education work, you might not be effective in one or the other. Yeah, that's understandable. What is your general lessons drive?
Well, the first thing is, first of all, like I said, we need to have very responsive leaders that are responsive to the needs and aspirations of the Gambian people. Leaders that are conscious of the reality. Leaders that are there to serve rather than to be called Mansa. Now, in most cases, let's take
Mansa would mean king, right?
King, yes. Let's take President Moro, for example. For him, he actually is doing people a favor. This is what the African mindset is. Mansa, yeah, but Mansa do come here. What this government has done, yeah, I have to vote for them. This is the mindset that we need to change. This is one of the lessons that I learned from my educational journey, that our leaders are supposed to be servants of the people. That is one. Secondly, I am also opportune to understand that president seated there doesn't have power. Power actually resides in me. That brings us to the social contract. The social contract is basically a natural agreement that exists between the people and the government. We vote them in power, retire our rights, our responsibilities, the powers that we have as citizens, for them to give us back what? Development, security, education, and everything that encompasses the human nature. So I am the one in power. I am giving him a job. He needs to deliver to the best of my requirement. Not the other way around. Education taught me that. Education also taught me to understand that being an African child is not a crime. That Africa is endowed with resources that if properly managed, like Yahya Jammeh would say, former President Jammeh, the white man will come to Gambia to hustle. These are some of the lessons that I learned from education. And then people out there need to understand this. Being underprivileged as well is not a crime. What you need is to stay focused, committed to your goals, resilient in your activities. In the end, it will yield dividend. It's gonna be tough. We've all gone through series of issues. If I had to sit there and explain my life journey, everything, maybe you'll be the one crying more than me. Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
But your story is not your weakness. It is your strength. It is supposed to redirect your energy towards what really matters. Stepping into politics is not like I'm not sohla. No. It is a responsibility that if we do not fight against this very system that has crumbled our existence, we will continue to live under their mercy.
That's Saidina Abubacarr Jarju, the spokesperson of NUP.